So it's Sunday the 8th of March 2015, beautiful sunny day, kind of force 3, puffy force 4, occasionally force 1 wind, and it's the 5th race in the winter warm-up series at Wilsonians. It's about a minute or so to the start, and I'm kind of just killing time here. We've got a strong 5.5 metre or so tide today. It's only about an hour and a half since low water, so it's properly flooding in. And I'm trying to make sure I've got some space away from the line so that I've got room to head up and get some speed. As you can see from the amount of boats that were behind me then, I don't think half the fleet realised how much an influence the tide was going to have. I've got all the controls preset at this point so that when the time comes I'm ready to go. 5 seconds to go, bit of leeward heel here so I can have a pump. Gun goes off, flat, and immediately into trying to make some boat speed. The double hoop was for the RS 800, which almost made a perfect start, but well, almost isn't good enough, is it? So just concentrating on speed, trying to make sure I've got some space to make my tack when I reach a ley line. Trying to make sure I keep it flat. These holes will make it a bit difficult, but big hole in the wind there, obviously from the bearaway and so forth. It's quite unnerving when these holes come, as it is at the start, because of course your boat goes quiet and all you can hear is everyone else's boat splashing around you, so it's always a bit disconcerting, but trying to focus on my own race and not let it worry me. Nice bit of speed now. Starting to get close to the ley line. Decided to tack very early on this, well before the ley line in fact. As you can see, the alto carries on past. I figured that as we sail up underneath the houses on St Mary's Island into the lee of them, the wind would go light, which would slow us up, and then the tide would push me down to the mark. As it happened, I could have gone even earlier, really. To be honest, I had plenty of room when I got there. So getting close to the mark, kick her off. I think I have a tug on the centre board as well. Trying to get that up. It doesn't come up very easily, but I think it came up a bit. A little bit of windward heel to help the bear away, and because I've got plenty of room and no immediately around me, I bear away hard and head straight back out into the river. Obviously that's bad because there's a lot of tide out in the river, but it was more important to get into the wind. There really wasn't that much wind up around that mark. It's a luxury that not all the other boats had, because they were trying to keep clear wind, and they had other boats around them stopping them going where they wanted to. So I was able to extend quite a healthy gap pretty early on in this. A little bit of windward heel when I'm going downwind. Something I like to do, kind of helps unstick the hull and lets you, as the puffs hit, then it kind of lets the boat roll flat, ready to encourage it to plane, as opposed to if you've got leeward heel, where plenty of people do and seem to go quite quick like it, but it kind of strikes me that when the puffs hit, you've got to work that much harder then to get the boat flat. That red rope you saw me fiddling with is my centreboard downhaul rope. It's just a single line that pulls the board down, and I try to organise that when I'm going downwind onto the whatever rack I'm going to need it on, to pull it down when I get to that leeward mark. At this point I'm just looking around looking for the wind. Always frustrating, of course, because the spinnaker boats seem to get the puffs seem to take off and you're sitting there not moving, but I've got a reasonable breeze at this point. I've come well over into the middle of the river, or over to this far side of the river, towards this far side. So although I've got some tide, I'm into some decent breeze now. And I'm very conscious, Blaze is very trim sensitive. You kind of want to keep forward to maximise the waterline length, but at the same time, if the bow's sort of dug in too much, the boat just won't want to plane, or at least try and pop up on the plane. So I'm always kind of fidgeting backwards and forwards, trying to keep the waterline length and to stop the transom dragging, but as soon as I think there's enough way on that the boat won't sink at the back. I sort of shuffle backwards a little bit. And we're only talking, you know, inches at a time. It doesn't need that much, just to kind of keep working it. I also run, I've got a carbon mast that I run quite soft because I'm only 72 kilos, so my leech is very loose. So as much as I've been letting the kicker off to let the leech go, as the puffs hit, you'll often see me, like now, yank a bit of kicker on just to tighten the leech back up again, because it just twists off as the puffs hit. So I'm constantly playing the kicker, trying to get some power in the boat. More kicker on here. As you can see from the top right hand corner, we've kind of come around the corner of the houses on the island, so the wind has suddenly gone from kind of a very broad reach run into a more broad reach, sort of beam reach-ish at times, although it's now gone light again because I've just let it out. But, it's switching around direction, but very important to kind of keep aware of that, because sometimes these puffs can hit and you look up and find the top half of the sails twisted off or backwinding. Got a nice bit of speed on here. It's going along quite well, concentrating to keep it flat as ever. Bit of a cheesy saying that, everyone will tell you you've got to keep your boat flat, but Blaze is so big and wide and does plane so readily when it's given a chance, that flat really does have to be flat, or you're going to miss chances. So wind's gone light, kicker's back off again, shuffled forward in the boat a little bit, stretch my legs. These aren't as supple as they used to be, and all this on my knees is making them sore. Okay, pressure back on, so I've gone back in the boat slightly, yank some kicker back on, work the sail a little bit, again kick boat flat. At this point I'm keeping an eye on the alto as well, because it's slowly coming down my way. These, the people in the alto, it's literally their first sail in the boat. They bought it the weekend before at the Dinghy show, and I'm not even sure they've sailed together that often. So it's kind of a bit in at the deep end. I'm sure there's more to come from them, but we actually had a good race going around. It wasn't an ideal course for a spinnaker boat, and of course them being new to it meant that though it's technically faster than me, we actually had quite a good race. I think we both quite enjoyed it really. So winds switched around a bit more onto the beam, as you saw me fiddling with the sails then, and you saw the shadow of the alto as it went across in front when the puff hit. Wind's gone lighter again, so I've just let the kicker off again. Wind's obviously gone very light because I've gone right forward. Give it a little bit of windward heel on it again to unstick it. At this point in the race, it probably wasn't much more exciting on the boat than it is watching it, but it gets better. So I'm right over here to the far side of the river here, next to the line of trots, more boats, and a little bit of tidal relief over here, but clearer wind. So puff's coming on a bit of kicker on, sheeted in more. See by the splash in that thing, it's starting to speed up. Point I'm kind of trying to get aware of where the next mark is, get a handle on what angle I'm going to have to take this at. So good pressure here, pump on, a lot more kicker, tighten the leech even more. plane them in. Now concentrating on keeping it flat again to encourage the planing. So this blue fishing boat was the mark of the course. Quick grab of the centreboard rope, slip as I try to get out, a bit rusty after wintered off. So centreboard's down, kicker's on probably still quite a bit because I've just tightened it up obviously for the reach. Get myself out on the racks, get comfortable. Even though I've got a bit of kicker, you'll see in a minute, I kind of sheet in even harder just to tighten the reach to really get to maximise the power of the boat. Again, I've said it once already, I imagine, got to keep it flat. As it happened across here, a fantastic lift. Managed to get back a lot of that height I'd lost to the alto and was kind of right back with them by the time I got to the mark. The puff hit a bit of hill, which wasn't good. Should have worked that better. Not perfect. We'll do better. Good pressure on here. Got the main crank right on to try and tighten the leech and hold it all in. Steering the boat quite a lot. I know all the books tell you not to use the rudder, but in this really puffy, shifty wind we get around these houses, I find it's far more important to just sail the boat to the wind than it is worry about moving the rudder too much. So looking for the ley line. Tricky ley line this one, because again we were sailing into the houses, but you didn't want the tide to take you past it. Notice I'm talking about something unrelated to that awful tack to try and distract you from it. A bit better sorted, a bit better. So now kind of pinching a bit here at times just to try and make sure I make the mark, because it was very hard to judge this ley line, not knowing what the wind was going to do when you got there. Obviously starting to get more confident I'm like making at this point, so I had a bit of ease on the main there rather than steer it around. So sheeted in hard again now, so maybe I was a bit over optimistic. Okay, so we're rolling past that mark. That wasn't the mark, but the mark's tied to the next buoy in the river, so starting to get more comfortable. So centreboard's come up a little bit. Big ease, kicker was off. So this is kind of, there's quite a lot of apparent wind here because the tide's flooding. Oh, that was a red rope for my centreboard downhaul again, getting it ready for when I get to this leeward mark. But yeah, it's quite a lot of apparent wind, there's a lot of tide, reasonable breeze pushing me away from the island, so the wind's, technically probably quite a broad reach in position, but in actual fact it kind of felt more like a beam reach. So, and as it happens, it suited me this again. I stayed, I could kind of sail a straight line to this mark, but there was a bit of a puff came at the end and the alpha ended up having to go deeper. Just because they're carrying the spinnaker and they got blown deep by the puff, and that allows me to get right back with them. So I'm shooting in a bit here because just come forward a bit. That's my central rope again. Okay, here's the puff that hits. Work on getting flat, right back in the boat, try and get it plain, try and get some kicker on to harness more of this power. Keeping it flat, putting the centreboard down now because I'm getting towards the mark. There's the alto to mark, harden up, and now we've got this kind of beat stroke fetch towards the final mark of the lap. It probably really just a fetch, but the wind's so fluky that you couldn't really depend on it, so you sailed it like a beat but didn't stuff too much when you didn't have to. I'm also of course conscious of the alto. I want to stay in front not only for the race but just to kind of protect my own wind, so that if I get to this mark front and can keep inside, I get to choose my at the point at which I want to tack and so forth, I'm not going to get held off or stuck in dirty air or anything, so trying to work on it. A bit of a hold here, which is a bit of a pain, but fortunately it slowed them up as much as it slowed me up, so probably should let some kick off here, but I'm getting myself distracted. Untangle the ropes, always seem to end up with a pole around my feet. Alto's gone inside, I think they went inside the trot line here, so they've sort of borne off. I've borne off a little here because the next mark of the course was kind of in sight, again tied to one of these buoys. Notice even though I bore off 20 degrees, I've had to sheet in hard at some points because the wind's all over the place. Gone very light again. Okay, pressure's back on, back out, work the puff as it comes. You've got to kind of grab these puffs as you get them, because you know, every puff's worth, if you get it quickly, is worth a couple of boat lengths, and there's so many of them you can actually build a side advantage quite easily just by working the puffs. And there's the mark, and that's, once we're across the line, technically the end of the first lap. Now just trying to get back inside this line of buoys, back into the trot, so that I've got less in my way for the tack to the next mark. And that was a lap of this course. We did 4 of those, and it was good fun.